of the Planning Committee. I want to thank you to the first ever Southern Illinois Bridging the Gap Summit for the aging LGBT community in Southern Illinois. Today's summit will serve as a learning collaborative to assist us in improving the lives of LGBTQ elders and those living with HIV. By being here today, you are participating in groundbreaking efforts in Southern Illinois. We are happy to share that Golden Rainbows Illinois South received one of 6 grants in the U.S. to hold this summit through the SAGE Equity Innovation Lab. So SIH staff became involved in the planning committee through an invite from Billy Rogers of Golden Rainbows of Illinois South. SIH is dedicating to improving the health and well-being of all the people in the communities we serve. This summit also ties in with our efforts of the Community Health Needs Assessment and addressing the priority health issue of social determinants of health and reducing health disparities among those most vulnerable in our area while increasing screening, outreach, and medical treatment. The summit aimed at increasing and improving care and services for the aging LGBT population fits directly with this work, as well as our strategy to offer training to increase awareness and reduce stigma and unconscious bias. Through efforts of various SIH staff, we have also implemented training related to sexual orientation and gender identity, safe zone, cultural competence, and implicit bias, and have begun new processes related to capturing patient name preferences and verification of sex. These are just a few steps in our efforts to better serve the aging LGBTQ population. We know there's more work to be done to improve the health of our aging LGBTQ population, and we look forward to today and additional learning and collaboration at today's summit. Before we get started, I want to welcome you again and thank the agencies and planning committee members who joined together to make today's event possible. If I call your name and you are here, I ask that you stand or wave. So first, Egyptian Area Agency on Aging, Becky Salazar. From Golden Rainbows, Illinois South, Billy Rogers. Carrie Vines. Joe Nast. And Liz Hunter. From Jackson County Health Department, Philip Partridge. From Rainbow Cafe, Carrie Vine and Carlos Perez. From Shawnee Health, Sarah Miller and Alex Hansen. From SIH, Jeffrey Reese. Monta Seydu and myself. And from SIU Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development, SIU School of Medicine, Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development, Chris Massey. And then we would also like to thank our logistics director, Ayana, and I'm going to butcher your last name, Amskri. Okay, Amskri. From the AIDS Foundation Chicago and the Pride Action Team. Woo! So, few logistics before I introduce our first speaker. You should have each received a purple folder. If you have not done that, you can go get it at the registration table and make sure you check in. You'll have our bios for the 2 main speakers and additional information, including a resource guide, some articles, brochures, different things in there. Following the summit, you will also be able to find information as well as videos from our main speakers on the Golden Rainbows Illinois South website at www.goldenrainbows.org. If you haven't found them already, the restrooms are located to the right, and then there are additional restrooms all the way around the corner and to the left. We do have several breaks built into today's agenda. However, if you need to get up and leave the room, please feel free to do that as needed. Again, thank you for being here, and I now want to introduce our first speaker, Carrie Vine, LCSW, she, her. She is the Executive Director of Rainbow Cafe LGBTQ Center and co-founder of GRIST. Carrie holds a BA in music and a bachelor's and a master's in social work. She is currently finishing her master's in public health and gerontology certificate. Carrie sits on the AIDS Foundation statewide community engagement group and serves on the Equity Illinois Community Advisory Group. She also chairs the Social Action of Southern Illinois, an advocacy group for the LGBTQ community of Southern Illinois. Carrie's professional experience includes serving people living with HIV, working with harm reduction and substance use disorder, HIV prevention, and reproductive justice issues. Carrie's greatest accomplishment in life was raising intelligent and compassionate children that are and were accepting of all beings. Carrie lives just south of Carbondale with an accomplished musician named Kurt, a small comedian named Skylar, a brilliant team named Cal, a few spoiled cats, a couple of excitable dogs, and some naked guinea pigs that make excellent office mates. So welcome, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Angie, for that introduction. Yes, my naked guinea pigs, they squeak at me often when I'm having office meetings and Zoom meetings and I have to go shh or give them a carrot or celery. It's quite entertaining sometimes in my office at home. That's one thing that I'm not looking forward to when we move to the new building and have office hours. Of course, though, I could probably take them with me and it'd be okay. I wanted to say also that I had this big, beautiful speech in my mind and I was gonna write it all out last night, and then we lost power for like 3 hours. But that's okay, because this is about Rainbow Cafe. This is about our community. So let me tell you, I can talk for hours and hours and hours about this and not need anything in front of me. But I do have things written out, so I am gonna talk about what I'm gonna talk about. Rainbow Cafe, LGBTQ Center, has been in operation since the year 2000. So we are going on almost 23 years as of September. We started out as simply a safe space for LGBTQ youth ages 13 and 19. We were founded by 2 local churches, Carbondale Unitarian Fellowship and also Church of the Good Shepherd, which is a United Church of Christ fellowship. But over the years, as the need has grown, we have grown with it. In April of 2019, we broke off from the churches just because we wanted to be our own 501c3 and other things, and we were just getting too big. After that, we have formed a lot more programming. We now advocate for queer youth in schools, host free intergenerational events, facilitate parent groups, sponsor pride proms, had our first transgender resource fair very recently. We organize events, other events for transgender individuals like Transgender Day of Visibility, Transgender Night of Remembrance, and we're also very involved with the health and well-being of our community. Some of our programming include ARC, which is ARC, for ages 9 to 12, Drop-In, which is our original programming. We call it Friday Night Drop-In, which is our ages 13 to 17. Elevate, which is our young adult programming, which is 17 to 25. Adulting While Queer, which we like to call AWK, you know, like, I don't know, but AWK, okay. Which is 25 to 50. And though that group is kind of an informal group that just meets about once a month, you know, to go bowling or whatever, but a very social group. We have Transitions, which is specifically for transgender youth, ages 13 to 17. And then we have Transformations, which is for our transgender adults over 18. We also have Unconditional, which is a family and parent support group. That is facilitated by Shane Bruce, which is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and also myself. So that is a really successful group as well that we've recently started back up. As Angie said, I facilitate SASE, which is Social Action for Southern Illinois. This is an advocacy group that was started by Tara Bell, a very political person within the area, and also Equality Illinois. And that is the group that Greece started out of when Billy and I kind of got involved with that, and we're like, we really need to do something for the elders in the group. And the elders in the community, and that was way back in January of 21. Can you believe that, Billy? I mean, of course though I say 21, but then I look at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like not that long ago, and we're doing this today. So, and then on top of the advocacy we do for Equality Illinois, I do a lot of advocacy for AIDS Foundation Chicago. I was just talking to Ayana about how we're gonna be in Springfield on Wednesday for AIDS Foundation Chicago Advocacy Day. So yes, awesome stuff. So I also wanna say, since I was hired for Executive Director on the 1st of November of 2022, we have also been running grants through Illinois Public Health Association. Our largest grant is IVAX, which is COVID vaccine awareness and other health related things. We've been able to employ 4 community health workers, 1 full-time that is our youth programming coordinator, and then 2 part-time. We have 1 here, Alex Socorro. Raise your hand, Alex. He is a rock star, like almost literally, but that's okay. And then we also have 1 other part-time community health worker. These community health workers are absolutely instrumental for our Wellness Wednesdays programs that we run, Wellness Wednesday program that we run out of the Center for Empowerment and Justice, which is on North Washington Street. We do that in collaboration with Shawnee Health Services. Thanks to Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. And that has been a really successful program. We feed clients every day. We help them with insurance. Well, Shawnee does, but we do a bunch of stuff with them. Narcan, Plan B, we do a lot of harm reduction services and always offer the HIV testing. We also have HIV prevention and testing. Carlos is our dedicated prevention tester and prevention counselor and educator. Carlos, raise your hand. Super excited to have Carlos and happy that we found him all the way down from Chicago. Well, I mean, he moved from Chicago, but very experienced and happy to have him. We do lots of harm reduction, Narcan, Plan B. My saying is, if you have a uterus, you need to have Plan B in your medicine cabinet, literally. Everybody needs to have Narcan in their medicine cabinet. So I always, that's my soapbox. I'm like, I kind of have a soapbox. So that's what I always preach. Fentanyl testing strips. We work with the Community Action Place often to kind of get that out there. So we went from a kind of a youth group to doing lots of advocacy, lots of different places. And we also do work with SIU School of Medicine. Kyle is here, so thankful for that. University of Chicago. We've done work with Centerstone, Arrowleaf. Current grants we're pursuing is a collaboration with the Stress and Trauma Treatment Center to actually do counseling in our facility with LGBTQ youth. I've been looking and kind of looking at a grant for USDA for our building, and also facilitation of like more rehab of our building. Working on doing a safety thing for our building as far as making it safer. That's a bigger grant. And then even like I have a smaller grant I've submitted for a stage, a community stage where we can have open mics and we can have bands and just free community events. For me, I feel like the free community events is what we need to have build community within our area. And then the latest one I've done, and this is big and near and dear to my heart, and I feel like I'm not gonna go off on a political rampage here, I promise, but as far as where we are with with the legislation in this area, Illinois, we are so fortunate to live in Illinois, and when I've been working with people coming here, we literally have people now coming from Florida, we have people coming from Texas, we have people coming from all over the place to live in this area, specifically Carbondale. So I have been working on getting funding for practical practical funds within the abortion world, within like Midwest Access Coalition. There's funding for what they call practical funds, like gas and food and things like that. So I want the same thing for our transgender folks, but something that's more sustainable and even like a case management type thing, where we can have transgender folks get off the train, come to Rainbow Cafe, say, okay, here's where you can go to get, you know, safe housing, this is where you can go, and then most importantly, we can have community, and we can offer these people with open arms, get them signed up on Medicaid, because in the state of Illinois, you know, transgender health is absolutely covered by Medicaid, 100%. As you can see, there are many things going on within Rainbow Cafe, and Golden Rainbows is equally busy, which is why, how long ago did we separate, Billy? Now we separated. That sounds horrible. We got a separation.
We became
6 months ago?
registered with the state at September 1st of 2022.
Okay, 2022, September 1st of 2022. Billy and I talked about it, and we were like, this is too much for one organization to do. And what spurred that is I wrote a grant, and I was writing this grant, and I was like, oh, I can only write it for one organization. And if we had 2 organizations, we could write 2 grants, you know? So now I get to be on the executive director of Rainbow Cafe, and I get to sit on the board of Golden Rainbows of Illinois South. And we work very well together. We're collaborative. I love it, and I love serving the elders. I love serving people aging with HIV, because y'all, 50% of people living with HIV today are over 50. And it's just gonna grow. It's gonna keep getting bigger. They're living longer health issues, and I'm sure like that's gonna be covered and talked about a whole lot more later by Philip and whoever. So, but I just have to say, Billy has been a powerhouse getting this organization. I've just kind of stood back and watched, because I've been busy, and y'all, we have a new building, and you know, Rainbow Cafe has a new building. We've been working on the building, and thankfully I know how to drywall. I know how to hang drywall. I know how to mud and tape. I know how to paint. I didn't think I'd ever have to do that with a master's in social work, but here I am, right? They say social work is an all-encompassing degree, and that is very, very true. So here I am, but I just have to say, Billy has been a powerhouse getting all this stuff going, and I thank him so much, because it's been an amazing ride, and we are only going up from here, and it has been awesome. And our board has been great too. Did Liz and Joe come back in, or are they still out there? I think they're still out there. I was gonna introduce the board real quick. They wanna come in? Well, okay. So, I am gonna go ahead. Hi Liz, we're just gonna introduce you real quick. So Liz Hunter is our treasurer on our board, and we're so grateful to have her. She's just been amazing. And Joe Nast is also on our board of Golden Rainbows. We also have Claire Pillman, who is our secretary. Claire also, for those of you that aren't familiar, she was recently elected to our city council, and she's the first trans person ever elected to a council seat in the state of Illinois. So she's probably not here because she's probably doing some interview somewhere, you know, I don't know. But anyway, so super happy to have her. Philip Partridge is here. Philip, if you want to wave. Philip is on our board as well. And then Dennis Gauger is not here, but he lives in Galatia, and let me tell you, he is at every single event. It doesn't matter, and he'll come, but he drives from Galatia for every single event. And then, of course, we have Billy Rogers, which is our chair. And so grateful for everybody here. And that is going to be it for me, but I am so thrilled to introduce Philip Partridge. Philip used to be a colleague of mine at Jackson County Health Department. He works with the HIV and Sexual Health Division. And then Philip also serves as program coordinator with Care Connect at JCHD. He provides regional education, linkage to care, and HIV treatment adherence to healthcare professionals and individuals aging successfully with HIV. He is a native Marylander, that's a tongue twister, serving the nonprofit sector since 1998. Philip completed graduate studies in gerontology at Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri, and previously served on the board of directors for Housing Options Preferred by the Elderly, or otherwise known as HOPE. He and his husband live in Carterville, Illinois, having 2 adult children and a daughter-in-law that reside in St. Louis. Thank y'all very much. I'll turn it over to Philip.
Yes, no.
Good morning. Very glad to be here. Very glad to be a part of GRIS, the beginning of an organization that has a lot of work to do. And it's wonderful to see all of you here today. To feel the energy in the room, and to look forward to make plans and to acknowledge some of the issues that older LGBTQ individuals like myself and individuals aging with HIV are facing and working through each day. One of the things we're going to talk about, and Angie was the first to mention it, and it is very much a reason why we are here today, is because we still have, and will always have because of bias, we have societal stigma. And it's hurtful. You know, there are hurtful 4-letter words. I think stigma is the most hurtful 6-letter word that I know. And it affects interactions, it affects access to care, it affects how individuals are treated when they are able to seek care, and it definitely affects individuals as they are aging and thinking about who is going to care for me and how are they going to care for me. Excellent. Our program is funded through congressional dollars that are allocated and come down through the state. And our program is called the Ryan White Program. Hopefully all of you have heard of the Ryan White Program, but I just wanted to give you a little background. Because Ryan White is an individual that was exposed to HIV at a young age. He was born in Kokomo, Indiana, not far from here in 1971, and lived until the age of 19. He did not have the opportunity to age successfully with HIV. Ryan and his family endured a lot of stigma, a lot of discrimination, to the extent, and it was within the community, it was within his neighborhood, it was within his school. And it was so pervasive and so destructive that his family needed to move. And they moved to a community about 45 minutes away and found a group of people which I think may be representative here today, a group of people who wanted to understand, who wanted to reach out, who wanted to learn, and to give Ryan the opportunity to continue his education and his family the opportunity to make friends and feel supported. So, Jackson County Health Department, we have received funding since 1994. And that also speaks to how long we have been operating the Care Connect program. I'm joined by some of my colleagues today from the Health Department, and there are now 13 of us that spend all our time working in Care Connect. Next slide. That's Ryan. It's tough for me to talk about stigma because I can't express to you how real the effect is even today. My colleagues know of individuals who have died from stigma over the last 2 years. One was in their early 20s, and another a little bit older, who actually dedicated their life to medicine, to help others. But stigma withheld these individuals from accessing care and life-saving treatment that, through Ryan White's money, can be had at no cost and connected with intensive case management to get through some of the other issues that affect this community: housing and insurance, opportunities for socialization. It's a heavy elephant in the room, but this is our starting point. Next slide, please. So what I want to express to you about our Care Connect program is that we are at Jackson County Health Department, but our program, because of the funding that we have, all of our programs, Care Connect for individuals living with HIV, a PrEP program for HIV negative individuals, and I would like to remind you that the CDC updated their guidance to providers in January of 21, that PrEP should be offered and the education should be given to all sexually active individuals. We don't talk about age, we don't talk about risk groups anymore. So we have Care Connect, we have the PrEP clinic, and the sexual health clinic, where we offer very low cost, very comprehensive testing and treatment in a confidential nature. So the pink section in our favorite part of the state is Region 5. That's the lower 19 counties of Illinois. This is our home, and we are able to serve individuals throughout this whole region. So we have a mixed group here today, and so I want to make sure that everyone understands that our services are not limited to Jackson County. Next slide. And our boilerplate is called the HIV Care Continuum. And it really is a boilerplate for any care continuum. Individuals with any health challenges, we need to identify them, diagnosis, we need to be able to link them to care. That needs to be timely, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Then we hope to engage them and retain them in care. So HIV care could be, you can infuse depends on being engaged in retaining care. Then we get individuals linked to, the second step, linked to infectious disease, so that they can get the appropriate medication. Sure. Is that a little bit better? And then achieve viral suppression. This is tough. This is tough. Individuals come into care and they may get to the third step and then fall out. We provide a lot of reinforcements and adjust care plans to identify some of the issues that get in the way of successful care. I wanted to ask, just looking at this HIV care continuum, what age group do you think this most applies to? And we'll do raise of hands. So from birth to age 25, raise your hand if you think this would apply to that age group the most. How about 25 to 55? Okay. How about 55 and older? It actually applies to any age, from birth until death, because we have congenital cases of HIV. And I want to impress on you that we are, as sexual beings, sexually active. Sorry, I tend to move. I'm having a hard time not moving around. We are sexual beings, and because we have that gift, we are sexually active much longer than we even expect. So if anyone has any doubt that someone who is 75 or 80 is just not having sex anymore, or we don't want to think about it because it's our parent, please let me correct you on that. We have individuals, I spoke with an individual in our sexual health clinic who was 82 and enjoying a sex life. So this applies to any age group. Next slide, please. And then quickly, this is just, again, part of our process. We want to be in the loop when someone has a new diagnosis. So if you are from an agency where a new diagnosis for an individual may come in to your organization for care from another area and they have a diagnosis, we want to know, because we want to be there on site personally to have a conversation with them, to offer them resources, to offer them linkage. And the rest of this really reflects that HIV care continuum. I believe that's the last slide. This is the last one. So I mentioned intensive case management, and this is really some of what is included there. There's a lot more. Transportation, housing, working with individuals that have a substance use disorder, mental health challenges, lack of trust in the medical field, and there's that word again, which leads to a denial about their status and their care, and then lack of a support system. The good news in our own region is that statewide, those individuals living with HIV who know their diagnosis, 64% of them are virally suppressed. 64% are able to stay on that continuum and effectively live and look forward to many more years because they're virally suppressed. And that's the key. In our region, 95% of individuals that are in the Care Connect program are virally suppressed. And we track that month to month. And that's not to pat ourselves on the back, because the hard work, the hardest work is being done by the clients and patients that we serve, and with you as our partners. And we are so glad to have you, and ask for your continued partnership. Okay, and I am now going to introduce Becky Salazar. Becky's been the executive director of the Egyptian Area Agency on Aging for 3 years, affectionately known as the AAA. She worked at Shawnee Alliance as a care coordinator supervisor for 12 years prior to moving to Egyptian AAA. Her earlier career was in mental health, working as a case manager, counselor, and manager of a day treatment program and homeless program. She serves on statewide communities as well as remains active in local groups with a focus on aging and services to help the most vulnerable. She teaches online classes for Shawnee Community College in sociology, and her hobbies include running, biking, swimming, reading, and, as I learned this morning, making sure everyone has access to a free COVID test. And she brought some phenomenal kits with her that are out by the front desk, and she is probably going to speak to that as well. So make sure you get one of those or more as you need. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Well, I want to preface that I did not wake up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm wearing bunny slippers today. I had a foot procedure a couple of days ago, so I can't wear regular shoes. So if you think that I just wanted to let you know.
We love bunny slippers.
Oh, good. We might have a little more belief in what I'm telling you today. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about what Egyptian Area Agency does, and then how it kind of will collaborate in with what Billy and Carrie do. So our agency serves the lower 13 counties of Illinois. So we serve older adults 60 and above and caregivers of any age, and that includes grandparents raising grandchildren. So we provide a great deal of services. Each county has a focal point. So it's usually a senior center, and they provide home delivered meals, meals on site, socialization programs, assistance with pretty much any case management needs, filling out a license plate discount, help with Medicare insurance programs, ways to find prescriptions cheaper. They do a variety of outreach. They'll go out and check on people. They're trying to do more friendly visiting and telephone reassurance for those that after COVID have been identified as being socially isolated. So some of our rural counties, they may live way out in what we call the boonies, and you know, that they don't see anyone. Maybe the person that brings the meal, and you know, that's it. So we've been trying to incorporate those persons into some of these programs. At our office, we have a veteran-directed home care program that allows veterans to hire their own worker to care for them so they can remain in their home. We have a retired senior volunteer program, and so persons 55 and older can come to us and they join this program, and then we place them with something they're interested in. And we have all kinds of activities in Southern Illinois. We even have like an equine, where you can help care for horses. We have a bicycle resurrection shop where you can fix up bicycles, and the bicycles go out to persons who can't afford a bike or they need one to get to work. A lot of them go to senior centers and they help with crafts, and they make fidget blankets for persons who have dementia. And so we have a lot of neat programs that go on through the volunteer program. And then more recently, we started kind of branching out and doing some smaller grant activities just to connect a little more in the community. We've been working with the Public Health Institute and it's called GRIC, Building Resilience and Communities. And so we've been trying to incorporate some intergenerational, we had community colleges going into senior centers to teach folks how to use even a smart TV, their remote control, how to use a smartphone. I think I could have gone to any of these classes myself, but just a lot of opportunity to learn how to use a tablet or how to go on social media and connect with other people. Well, this year I think we're going to do it a little different. We're going to work with high school students to go, because who knows better how to use a smartphone than a high school student. And so the goal is to have the students go in, and then the students, they learn something from the senior, and then it could be, they could listen to stories, they could learn to crochet or something, they could learn to craft, but then the senior learns from the technology. So we're trying to always come up with these activities. And the neat thing about them is that as long as you're age 60, they're available to everyone. There's no income guidelines on these programs. There's a suggested donation for meals, but if you don't have the money, it's no big deal. So I always think, it's easy for me to sit in my office and think, well, all these people know about all these programs, and it's wonderful. But, Billy had contacted me, and we were talking, and I think, it occurred to me that there's probably a lot of people out there, unless they've met the right people or they're embedded in the community, that don't know about a lot of these resources and services. And then also may not feel comfortable going out to the senior center to locate these services and resources. So that's kind of how we started talking, just to try to see how we can get everyone to the same table to, benefit from what's out there. And so we talked about different things, and then this grant kind of came up through ACL. It was a vaccination grant. And so we've done different things with vaccination, and we work with public health too, and a similar program to the IVAX. But they asked me, they're like, what is a group that you've never targeted in services? I said, well, we've never targeted the LGBTQ community. But the nice thing is, if we offer vaccinations, or we encourage or educate about it, at the same time we can be providing information and education in all these other programs, so that they can be a benefit, hopefully, and then it starts to build bridges, in all of our communities, the more of this that we do. So thankfully we were awarded the grant, and so we've been starting some activities. And I attended something at the Murfreesboro Airport at the St. Nicholas, and they had a neat turnout, and I brought my COVID test. I'm able to kind of get some COVID tests while they're free, and I'm trying to get them out to people, because when they start charging, hopefully everyone will have a little set at home that they can test if it's needed, and not have to go out and buy one. So there's some out there, so feel free to grab some of those when you're here today. And then in the next year, we have this grant from now until April of next year. I'll be working with Billy to put on some vaccination clinics, just some hopefully good socialization activities where people can get to know each other. They can learn about resources. I know the biggest thing, and this is for everyone, caregiving is a big topic right now. Usually everyone ends up being a caregiver at some point. And so there are a lot of caregiver resources, and people need to utilize those, because caregiving, if you've not had the opportunity to serve as one, it's very difficult. To me, it's one of the hardest tasks you could face. And from what I've read, and I think there's even some information in this packet about the LGBTQ community serving as caregivers quite often. So we have definitely some good resources. We have a few support groups in the area, and then we also have an online portal that's free with Trualta, and I can link anyone to that. You can go on and watch videos and get information on caregiving. So there's just a world of information out there, and thankfully with COVID, there's been more funding to get access to things to help the community. And I think the task for us is to find out how we can link with everyone to get the resources out. Not just the same people that know we're there, so. And then that's how I'm hoping that being here today and working with Billy and Carrie, we can bridge those things, so. Anyway, thank you, and if anyone has questions or wants to ask about services or things throughout the day, feel free to come and ask me about them.
All right, folks, thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers. We're gonna take a 15-minute break and come right back at 10 a.m. All right, see you back here.